Renting versus buying in 2026. Who is actually winning? There's a lot of dead money in the market at the moment. We've been told the same lie for 40 years. Renting is just paying someone else's mortgage. In the 90s, that was probably true. In 2026, with the interest rates where they are and house prices stagnating, mate, the math has changed. For someone with a mortgage, is it a wealth builder? For others, it's a 35-year trap. I've recently purchased, so I'm kind of familiar with this area now. Today we're doing a 2026 housing audit. I've pulled data from Rightmove, Zulf, and the house price index. We're going to look at the real cost of owning versus renting, and I'll show you why getting on the ladder might be the worst financial move you make this year, or the best. Let's think about this. We've got Tom, the buyer. We've got Sophia, the renter. Tom finally won. He bought a 2-bed semi with about 5% deposit. He's proud, he's happy. But his mortgage, maintenance and insurance take up 50% of his pay. He is anchored. He's there now. He's in the business. Sophia rents a similar place, size-wise. She pays more in monthly rent than Tom pays in his mortgage. But she has zero maintenance costs. And she invests the 40k deposit she didn't spend into her ISA. She has a sale. A year later, both move for a dream job in a different city. Tom is stuck, mate. Sophia is gone in 30 days. Packed up, moved out. We'll look at the freedom math in a second for this, but the 2026 market reality. The house price index, Jan 2026, Zoopla rental market report I looked at. So the average UK price in early 2026 is sitting at roughly £290,000 depending on the region, while the average rent has hit a record high of £1,300 a month. Mortgage rates, with the Bank of England base rate hovering about 4.25%, a typical 90% loan to value mortgage is costing homeowners roughly 5 or 6% in interest. So we need a reality check here. If you have £250,000 mortgage at 5.5%, you are paying something like £1,200 a month just in interest. £1,145 a month just in interest. That is like money that doesn't go toward your house. It's dead money to the bank, exactly like rent. So is mortgage like a rent payment? There's an unseen 1% here. So the British Insurance Brokers Association, BIPA, Home Serve Maintenance Index. The hidden cost of owning a home is estimated at 1% of the property value per year for maintenance, insurance, the service charge and stuff. On a 290k house, that's £2,900 a year or £240 a month that renters never pay. When people compare rent to a mortgage, they always forget the boiler, the roof, the building insurance, and the ground rent. In 2026, the ownership tax is higher than ever. But then again, I've also heard the nightmares about tenants trying to get stuff repaired and the homeowners just taking ages. There is a 5% rule here as well. So I want you to run this math. Take the value of the house. Let's use your example of if you're buying a house or renting. But take the value of the house you want to buy and multiply it by 5%. Then divide that by 12. Is that number, if the number is lower than the monthly rent for a similar house, buying makes more sense. If it's higher, you are actually better off renting and investing. The difference, we need to think about this a little bit differently. This accounts for like the opportunity cost for your deposit and the cost of maintenance. So on a 300k house, the 5% rule number is like £1,250. If you can rent that same house for £1,100, the math says buying is a liability, not an asset. So 300k house, 5% rule, 1250. But I can rent for cheaper. But there's the age-old argument that I'm buying a mortgage, so I'm actually paying for the house. It's going to be mine at some point. But the freedom of movement, like in our example there, is interesting. There's an identity trap here as well, because what happens is the sunk cost of status in the UK, we treat home ownership like an adult merit badge. We are willing to be house poor, eating beans and never going holiday, just so we can say we own. But owning 10% of a house and 90% of a bank's debt isn't freedom. Which part are you in? Are you renting or are you buying? If you were lucky enough to buy at a time when the house prices were better and you're paying off, you're all right. But currently, we have to think about this differently. The market's changed. It was easier to buy in the past. You were getting salary and house prices were kind of not too far off. Now, if you think about this, wealthy people don't buy homes as their first priority. They buy like income producing assets. If your house is your only investment, you aren't an investor. You're just a tenant of the bank who has a fix on their own toilet. Oh my days. Fix your own toilet, fix your own shower, fix your everything. So let's think about this. If you were to be in a position where you could buy or rent, you got a healthy deposit. Are you going to get more money with that deposit being saved and you're going to be getting interest? And if anything goes wrong, you call the landlord. If it's a good landlord, you get a repair done. You don't have to worry about it. You get a job in another country. Do one, mate. Depends what mindset you have. Do you want to put your roots down? Do you want to be free to move around? So Tom, our original buyer, found out his house value dropped 2% this year. Combined with his interest payments, he actually lost £15,000 in net worth. Prices of houses can go up or down. But Sophia, the renter, saw her ISA grow by 8%. She now has a bigger deposit when the market actually makes sense. This is my example, but it could be in either way. You can have it. The ISA could go down in value. Property goes up. It's just what is swings and roundabouts. A home is a place to live. An investment is a place to grow money. Don't confuse the two just because your parents told you renting is a sin. Build your wealth. Get a decent pot together. Then buy your walls. I'm Zulf and this is the Money Scorecard series. I'm enjoying looking at these reports and actually looking at what's going on here because it's interesting, the home ownership audit trap. And a lot of people are stuck here. This was episode 7. It's a little dive just to give you an idea of what's going on and what I'm thinking. I did a full breakdown on season 15 home buyers, go through the process of how much of a nightmare it was selling my house and buying a house. And all the steps I went through in the estate agents and all of that la-di-da-di-da. But then again, people that rent, I'm hearing stories, it's very difficult to rent now. They ask for all sorts of checks and references. So it's hard to rent as well, and even getting the place to rent where you want it. So how are you finding this journey? What are we looking at next? In the next episode, I'm thinking we're going to look at it makes sense to look at the locality, because this may not apply to everybody. Depends where you are. Geographically speaking, there's like a big gap in different markets. Where do you want to be? Everybody wants to be where it's kicking off, but I'm going to cover that in the next episode. So I'll see you on that. What's one question you're stuck on right now? Contact me on zulftalks.com. You could drop me a message on Insta or email me there. If you want, you could even put your answer below this episode in the comment section. I read through every single one and it helps me shape the shows. So it'll be good to hear from you. It would be really good if you can leave a review wherever you're listening to this. The show resources are available at zulftalks.com. You can also sign up to the mailing list there, which will allow you to get information to help you on your journey working for yourself.
working for yourself. I know you love it, working for yourself. Cause I love working. Zulf talks about it, making it easy for you. Working for yourself. Go be your own boss. Zulf will help you along. Working for yourself. Powered by trusted creators. ZulfTalks.com.